how the fairies work with the angels. Blessings and peace, you ones. There are so many beings who are working together in and around the earth, cosmic beings coming forward at this time. So much that is being changed within the earth, so much healing being done within the earth, literally within places that have been torn apart, torn asunder, burned, wrecked with all kinds of, not always natural, disasters. So much is needed at this time from the beings of light. Because sometimes what happens does tear asunder the actual light body as well as the physical body of the earth. And that is where the fairy folk collaborate with the angelic presence and bring superpowers into the earth to then literally mend and repair vast areas. Some of you may live in some of the devastated areas upon the earth, whether it is in Australia where there have been devastating fires, California where there have been devastating fires, places where there have been terrible floods on your earth, and also hurricanes and other kinds of natural disaster. And these are the places where the angelic beings come in and they infuse the fairy folk and the elven people. But today I'm talking especially about the fairy folk, and I will talk later about the elven people because their works are a little different. And the fairy folk can get right inside the actual earth. They dwell deep within the earth in many different layers and frequencies of the earth's light body, and are able to rectify the crystalline structure deep inside the earth. This is a big work. This is not just a little overnight job. This is a big and deep work of restoration happening at this time within your earth. As human beings, it is really important, and many of you are called to this work, to go out onto the land and just be. Just be with your vibration of connection, of your physical body that becomes a resource for the fairy folk and the angelic beings. They are able to weave their energies through your body of light. Because as you can perhaps understand, they are working in different dimensions, the fairy folk and the angelic beings. And you as human beings are very necessary to provide a link of connection between those realms of light within the earth, specifically the area of fairy presence, and the realms of light that are the ascended realms, and the resources that are being brought from those realms but need to be grounded through your bodies. You literally can lie upon the earth. You actually don't have to do anything, though if you are a being who can create ceremony, then that, of course, can be very much amplifying the work. But you don't have to. You are required to know about it, though, and to understand what's happening and to allow these energies to transmute through you and become available. It's as though you could say you're stepping down the angelic energies through your body into the earth and into the availability of the fairy folk to then literally use that energy in like a fuel. So they thread light. So you can imagine this light that's coming from the angelic realms, and it comes in in beautiful ray form. So it's like streaming. It's streaming through. And what the fairy folk do is they take it, a bit like when you take a thread on a cotton reel and you thread it through a needle, and you put that needle somewhere where you are mending something, and they will take the light like that. And they will take it not as one of them. They will take it in bands of 100 of them. And they will take that light and they will start to weave it into the substance of the earth, into and around places where, for example, the nature has been destroyed, and they will start to bring that light in and weave it amongst the roots. A lot of the roots will remain, only the top will often be damaged, and they will start to, and you've probably seen how the recovery happens in forests, how those energies start to rise again from the roots. And so that is a very powerful work they do. They take those streamers of light and they move them down around inside the earth, around the rocks, crystals, and they bring the light energy as a force, a power of growth for the living plants. In terms of physical structural damage inside the rock, and when there is explosion, when there have been bombs or other kinds of physical attack upon the earth, they are then working with very powerful energy. They use the how can I translate that for you? It is the divine power that comes through the angelic realms, but is also available inside the earth. So it's like an earth power. And they bring these for the mending of the actual body of the earth, the rock, when there has been explosions and the crystalline formations have been damaged. They will get the energy from the dragon beings down inside the earth. So there's the angelic powers coming in from the high dimensions, and there are the primal forces of all the elements. And the fairy folk, they are like alchemists. They will take that often quite red and deep energy and the golden energy, and they create from that a life force that they literally pump it into the rock and stone. It's like a life force is the best description of it. And as you know, it takes a long time for rock and stone to form. But after there has been a splintering, a damaging, there is an energy that is going on inside the earth which you perhaps can't see, and it is that wounded energy that is being mended. And once that's mended, the whole of the area starts to relax. The earth itself feels healed. So with this dragon, if you like, dragon, fairy, angelic alchemy that is being done particularly in the rock, stone, and crystal structure of the earth's body, that is very important, so that the vibration of the earth can calm down again. And because all the people who live in those places are very disturbed also, and the crystalline structure, it vibrates right through all the human bodies and causes terrible grief and trauma. So in that way, the fairy folk are the weavers of healing power and magic between the realms. And you, as you go out, those of you who are called to bring healing to places and to thread together, to bring the streams, the dragon lines, the powers to unite again, they're working with you very strongly. There are those of you who understand and who walk the dragon lines, which is really what they are, but they are called often the ley lines. And they are the earth dragon energies that have been created over millennia, because they are structural to the Earth's life force. The way that the Earth's life force is regenerated is along those lines. So again, you would understand that when these energies are coming from the angelic realms and through your presence being stepped down into the earth and made available as a magical light streaming substance, and the dragon energies are, if you like, you are there also invoking the life force of the earth through the ley lines, through the dragon lines. What happens then is that you start to understand the earth herself. Once she is healed, once there's been that loving presence, that loving emission, that radiation, you who do the healing, you who walk those paths, you who bring your ceremonies, you can literally feel the pain lifting off, almost like a mist. It comes out of the earth like an actual substance, and then the earth starts to regenerate in so many different ways, in so many different places. So these works that the fairy folk do, we give great thanks. We give great thanks to these beautiful beings. And there are so many different kinds of fairy folk working in all the different elements and working with beings deep within the earth. And we will continue to bring you more about them as we come forward to you in the times ahead. Blessings and peace, dear ones.